Hello and welcome to the Sports Bench with Greg and friends tonight. I have a video and I've waited a couple of days after the Lakers lost their last game of the season in the playoffs against the world champion Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, I predicted in one of my videos that they would not be able to beat Houston, and of course they did. But that still doesn't make it right in the degree that the Lakers were beaten. The people that want to talk about it and want to say things about it, that, well, they didn't have Luka Doncic, and, that was a big part of their offense, and they were asking too much of LeBron James. And that's true. They were asking a lot of LeBron James, especially since they went ahead and relegated him to be the third option, which was working. The Lakers with Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves running the offense, and then James being the third wheel, being able to score when needed. But he took a back seat. Now, let me tell you, that is not LeBron James. It's never been LeBron James. It will never be LeBron James. He is not a third wheel. He's the number one option. The way that he runs a team, and that's what goes on, especially in the background, is that sets players up for scoring. He runs the team. He's the motor of the team. Now, his age is going to be 40. He's 41 years old, so he can constitute as a point guard. But look, I just have to think about it, and I really think now they're going into the off season and they're trying to figure out, well, what's going to happen with LeBron James? Is he going to play? Is he going to retire? He's talked about he needs to recalibrate, needs to talk to his family. Look, I'm going to tell you right now, he's playing next year. He already knows that. He doesn't have any decision to make. He wants to play next year. He doesn't want to retire on what just happened, getting knocked off in the playoffs, for the, maybe sixth straight time. He's not been back to the finals. That's got to be disappointing, and he doesn't want to go out on a negative note like that. So he's playing next year. Okay, so let's just take that off the table right now. All right, so concerning LeBron James, he wants to play. The question is, will he sign with the Lakers? Well, my question is from the Lakers standpoint. Okay, look, what are you going to do? Do you really want to sign him to a big contract? Well, they say, well, no, they're not to do that. He's going to take less money. No, will he? He's still playing at all-star level. He might not be playing defense the way he should. And that's, his age is all prevalent on all of these things. So they say he's still great at everything, but he's not on defense anymore. He stands around a lot. He's flat-footed. And he basically doesn't take too many steps. He paces himself throughout the game, especially during the season, saving himself so what would be a playoff series, and that's what went on. But look, he's only going to get worse. All right, so you're going to bring him back. He's still going to be the third cog. He's still going to be the third scorer, and I just don't think that's LeBron James. He needs to run a team. Now, there are teams out there that certainly could use his services running a team, but it just happens to be not the Lakers. Okay, one of the teams that comes to mind, the Golden State Warriors. He would fit in perfectly with that lineup. All right, another team, Cleveland Cavaliers. He could go back there, playing with those two stars that were back with them, James Harden. They would team up pretty well, and he could run the offense. He could do it there. In New York, I don't know. Maybe he could still do it, but it just depends on Jalen Brunson. But the Lakers, they basically have two people and they play the same position. Luka Doncic, younger, plays the same position as LeBron. LeBron, passer, looking for scoring options, but he scores when he needs to, and that's Luka Doncic. Okay, so I just don't see it working bringing him back. That's my opinion on this video. I don't think it's going to work. And plus, the Lakers, if they have any sense, are not going to offer him a whole lot of money. Now, the media is talking about, well, he'll take less money maybe, but you have to explain it to him. You don't have to explain nothing to LeBron James. He already has figured out what it is. It's a cat and mouse game. What can he get out of the Lakers? Because he wants to stay in LA. The other option is the Clippers. That's a possibility. They could sign him as well. And then he didn't have to leave LA, which has his family and everything around him. He loves Los Angeles. So, I don't see him wanting to leave for those reasons. But he's not going to take the mid-level exception at like $15 million. He's not. So the Lakers are going to have to offer something substantially more. And I'm thinking, as much money as he can get out of them is what he's going to want to do. And people aren't talking about this yet, but he wants the Lakers to draft Bryce James, his other son. He's now eligible. He redshirted all year, didn't really play in a college game, but he's made himself eligible for the NBA draft in 2026. He's got no numbers. As far as I'm concerned, his skill level and everything is probably worse than Bronny. All right. He's taller, but, he's a project. All right. So both Bronny and him are projects, So if LeBron's going to come back, that's going to be the stipulation that if he gets into the NBA and LeBron gets him a contract and a roster spot, probably very similar to Bronny James, which is not going to work. You can't take up 2 roster spots with family members just because they're family members because you want LeBron James back on your team. That isn't going to work. That's the way it's going to work because the only way that this kid Bryce is going to make any money in the NBA is if his father gets him drafted by a team. So I would think that if LeBron goes to another team, like the Clippers, he's going to ask the same thing. He's going to want them to draft Bronny James, and he's going to get Bronny from the Lakers. All right. So, Bronny showed some promise, but my opinion is he's not an NBA player that's going to be making a huge difference in the future. It's nothing against the kid. He's a good kid. All right. But he just doesn't have that talent level. All right. Same thing with Bryce, only probably worse. So I see the Lakers coming up with a lot of problems because Rob Pelinka has already said, we'd welcome LeBron back. Well, I don't think you should be saying that because you're going to have to offer him so little money to come back that it probably would insult him. LeBron isn't into discounts, all right? He's still playing at an all-star level, so he can use that against you. But the Lakers are in the driver's seat. They can decide what they want to do, all right? And who knows what the Lakers want to do. I can only hope the new owner of the Lakers, and they're hiring 2 assistant general managers. The plan is maybe to replace Rob Pelinka with one of these guys that's coming up in the system and start cleaning house with the team is something that I've asked them to do because they need to model themselves after the Dodgers. They can't keep going on with this mom and pop operation and catering to LeBron James. It just doesn't make any sense to do that. Let's get in the real world now. Let's do some analytics here and let's figure out that you need to move on. You want to build the team around Luka Doncic, and Luka Doncic has stated, at least in the media, I hear, that he wants Austin Reeves to stay on the team and not get traded. He wants to play with him. It makes sense. They're good friends. They play off each other well, and they like each other a lot. So, it makes sense to have that as your offensive, your team and your guards, have those 2 guys with Doncic running the team and Reeves being the reliable outside scorer, and he can also run the team as well. Now, they lost to the Oklahoma City Thunder, and my reasoning that they lost is because the NBA has kind of lost their way in playing the game the way that it can be played, and teams like the Oklahoma City Thunder could be beaten. So I compare them. Let's just go back in time, okay? Bear with me. I know the video is going to go on, but bear with me. Do you think that Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal and their 2000 championship team could beat the Oklahoma City Thunder? Yes or no? Okay, I'm going to say the answer. Yes, they could. Why? Because Shaq would dominate those toothpicks that they have for centers. I mean, my gosh, both of those guys they have playing the forward and in center position, they would foul out in the first half if Shaq was playing against them. They'd have no defense for him because he would bulldoze them and run them over. All right. So the Lakers need to find a player at the center position that's more than just a lob threat. We got to get somebody who can be a part of the offense and be part of the half-court rotation in scoring instead of just shooting the three-point shots the outside. Teams have to start worrying about who your center is, how close he is to the basket. If all the guy can do is just catch the ball and turn around and slam dunk, and he can force his way down the middle, that would beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. It would, because they would have no answer for somebody like that. Now, of course, Shaq doesn't grow on trees, okay? So I'm not suggesting that they get somebody just like Shaq. I'm just saying is they need to get a guy that's physical, that's big, that basically can move his way around and move players around in the middle like Shaq used to do. Shaq was like 7'1", 365 pounds, something like that. And he was just a mobile mountain. I mean, but he couldn't shoot really from the outside. Everything came from dunks and dominating teams on the inside. And that's what would happen with the Oklahoma City Thunder if there was a team out there that had a center and they made that decision working in the middle. They would get those open shots through the outside threes. So I think the Lakers need to go further along than just lob threats. They need to get somebody that can do what I'm talking about doing. All right. And Nikola Jokic would be an option. He's a big guy, and they could start using him. He's a playmaker in the middle. And I realize, they'd have to trade for him. But in another year, he's coming up on an option on his contract. So I would love to see Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, and the Joker playing together on the Lakers. I think that would be a core setup that basically they could get a lot of role players that can play some defense, because Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic don't play defense. They don't. And it's choice. It's not so much that they are just bad defensive players. They just don't want to play defense aggressive enough. They do in spurts, but, Luka Doncic is not a generational player on defense, and neither is Austin Reeves. So, in my opinion, they don't need to give Austin Reeves that master big contract, that big mega contract, because he's not a complete player. He doesn't play defense very well. So you have to kind of put that in. And I think the Lakers could sign him less than the max. So they have to go from there, building with those two players. And I just really feel they need to move on from LeBron for LeBron's sake. Okay, this is not anything as shade against LeBron. Look, LeBron is LeBron. He's played the game for 23 years, leading a team and being the orchestrator on the offense. That's hard to do, to sit back and, when you're still good at it, take a back seat, even to one of the greatest players in basketball right now. But for the best for LeBron, I think he should move on. I really do. So that's my video for tonight. It's a short one, and I realize, that my opinions may differ from others, but I certainly think I'm a Laker fan, and the team and the Lakers winning is what I want to see. And basically ever since LeBron's got there, other than winning the bubble championship, they've been knocked out in the playoffs every year. They've not even sniffed the finals. So I want that to change. I want them to build a team that's about the team, the Lakers, not about one player. All right, that's my option for tonight and my video. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to give me a up for the sign that it was a good video, please do so. If you'd like to subscribe to me, that would be great. Have a great night, guys. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.